Welcome to episode 24 of 100 Days of Data. I'm Jonas, an AI professor, here to explore the foundations of data in AI with you.
And I, Amy, an AI consultant, excited to bring these concepts to life with stories and practical insights. Glad you're joining us.
Today, we're diving into something you encounter every day without even realizing it, JSON.stringify. It might sound technical, but it's really about how data talks to computers in a language they both understand.
Absolutely, Jonas. JSON.stringify is kind of like putting your data into a neat little package that can be sent around and opened anywhere. It's simple but super powerful when you deal with data across systems, especially in business.
To start, let's clarify what JSON.stringify actually means. At its core, JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. It's a lightweight format for storing and transporting data. Think of it as a standardized way to write down data structures so that programs can read them and write them easily.
And stringify is just the process of turning your data, usually structured as things like objects or arrays in programming, into that JSON text format. It's like taking a complex product blueprint and turning it into a universally readable document that anyone can open without special tools.
Exactly. In programming, data starts as objects or complex structures that live inside a computer's memory. But when you need to send this data anywhere, say from a website to a server or between two different applications, you can't just hand over the raw objects. They need to be serialized or converted into a string, hence stringify.
I've seen this play out 1,000,000 times in consulting projects. Imagine a retail company with several systems, a point-of-sale system, inventory, online storefronts. Each system speaks different languages and handles data differently. JSON.stringify is the tool that helps get data from one place to another in a consistent, readable format.
Historically, this need arose from the increasing complexity of software and the growing number of systems interacting on the web. Early on, data formats like XML were common, but JSON caught fire because it's simpler, easier to read, and lighter weight.
That's right, and faster too. In one project I worked on for an automotive client, we needed to transfer sensor data from the vehicle's embedded systems to a cloud platform for analysis. Using JSON.stringify helped us easily flatten that complex data into a format that could be quickly uploaded and parsed without crashes or delays.
It's interesting you mention sensors because the data coming from them is often in raw numeric formats or specific structures. JSON.stringify helps standardize that for use in analytics, dashboards, or machine learning pipelines.
And it's not just about sending data, it's about keeping it clean and secure too. When you stringify data, you're essentially controlling exactly what gets sent. You can include or exclude fields. For example, when working with financial records, companies often remove sensitive info before sending data externally.
On the theory side, stringify is a serialization function, one of many approaches to serialize data. Serialization means converting complex data types into a linear format for storage or transmission. Without serialization, data structures can't be meaningfully saved or transferred.
Speaking practically, I sometimes hear clients confused when their JSON strings look like gibberish, or they end up with errors when they try to convert things back. That's where the twin function, JSON.parse, comes into play. It's like the opposite, turning a JSON string back into usable data.
Right. A good analogy might be, JSON.stringify is like writing a message in a letter and sealing it for sending, while JSON.parse is opening and reading the letter on the other side.
Perfect analogy. And just like a letter, you have to make sure you're writing it properly. If the format is wrong or something's missing, the receiver can't understand your message. That's why the correct use of stringify and parse is critical.
From a technical perspective, JSON.stringify takes an object and converts it into a string that follows a very specific format. Text enclosed in braces for objects, in brackets for arrays, and keys and values separated by colons.
And those keys and values have to be particular kinds of data: strings, numbers, booleans, arrays, or other objects. Certain types like functions or undefined don't get serialized. This is a practical gotcha I've helped many teams with.
This limitation stems from JSON's design as a data interchange format, not a programming language structure. Functions or methods belong to programming logic, which JSON doesn't support.
Another cool thing is you can customize the results of Stringify with something called a replacer function or array, which lets you control what gets included or even change the values during serialization.
That's a powerful feature for filtering or transforming data before transmission. For example, removing confidential fields or formatting numbers.
In healthcare, I saw this used to strip patient IDs from datasets when sending data to research partners, ensuring privacy without sacrificing the usefulness of the data.
The output of JSON.stringify is always a string. This string can then be stored in databases, sent over networks, or displayed. It's human readable, which makes debugging much easier compared to binary formats.
That's a big win in business environments where transparency matters. When a team can open and inspect data, they can spot errors quickly and trust the system.
However, there are size limitations and performance considerations. Large JSON strings consume bandwidth and storage. Sometimes alternatives like binary JSON or other serialization formats are used in high-performance settings.
True, but for most business applications, JSON.stringify hits that sweet spot of simplicity, flexibility, and interoperability, making it the go-to choice.
So, Amy, any memorable stories where JSON.stringify made a difference in a project's success?
One stands out. I was consulting for a finance startup building a new payment platform. They struggled to send transaction data securely and accurately between their app and backend. Once they standardized on JSON.stringify for outgoing data and added proper parsing on the server, data corruption dropped dramatically, customer complaints dropped dramatically, and their integration with third-party payment processors smoothed out.
That's a textbook example of how a simple technical function can impact customer satisfaction and operational efficiency.
Exactly. It's these small tech details that sometimes have the biggest business impact.
So, Amy, any memorable stories where JSON.stringify made a difference in a project's success?
To wrap up, what's the key takeaway for our listeners about JSON.stringify?
I'd say JSON.stringify is your friend when you need to send or store data in a clear, readable, and consistent format. Mastering this simple tool helps avoid headaches in data exchange and integration.
I agree. Understanding JSON.stringify grounds you in the basics of data serialization, a core concept for all AI and data-driven systems. Next episode, we'll explore JSON.parse and how to safely and efficiently convert JSON strings back into data your applications can use.
If you're enjoying this, please like or rate us 5 stars in your podcast app. We'd love to hear your comments or questions. Your feedback helps us tailor future episodes to what you want to learn.
Thanks so much for listening. Until tomorrow, stay curious, stay data-driven.